Combustion.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Been running the game with my team making plays. Talking 80, my G, Swan and Jules in this place. Surrounded by dogs, keep the quarterback safe. I'm the one with the plans, they gon' do what I say. The game is not over, we don't celebrate. In the end zone, we don't got no time in the wait. H-Town run down, we don't premeditate. We just go and get to it, we got them on skates. If the game go into overtime, kicking the overdrive, we gon' be first at the finish line. Play looking full, but I finish mine, can I get second? We gon' line up like it's dinner time. We put in work till we get us a ring. Super Bowl season, we running the scene. H-Town the home of the realest that breathe. Keep your face down when you talk to the king. What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the H-Town Rundown. This is your boy AD, and I got my co-host in the building. We got the grumpy one, also known as Jules. We got Swan in the building. We also got Mike G in the building. How's everybody's Thursday night going?
Doing good. How you doing, fellas?
Oh, it's a wonderful day, man. We got football, semi football.
We got football. We got football.
Stretching exercises.
I don't care. It's football. I saw football. I saw some players. I saw inside field. It's football. I don't care what kind it is.
Hey, look, at the end of the day, the Houston Texans are back at voluntary OTAs. They started on yesterday, Wednesday, and it concludes on tomorrow for this week, and then they restarted again for 2 days, if I'm not mistaken, on Monday and Tuesday next week, and then it is off until the
Thursday.
10th. Huh?
Monday, Tuesday, and then they come back Thursday, the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 5th.
Okay. And then after that, they don't come back to the 10th, which is mandatory, and that is only for 2 days, and that is the 10th and 11th. And then they're off after that until training camp. So shout out everybody, shout out DQ, shout out Stressens in the building. But definitely
DQ
is what's the commercial? DQ. That's what I like about Texas.
That's exactly in my head.
Hold up, you don't know that jingle? Come on now.
Yeah, that was in my head. That's why he finished it for me.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, man, Houston Texans had OTA, man, voluntary. I need to make sure I keep saying this word, voluntary OTAs. That's happening currently. Media wasn't present today, so they're really nothing to talk about today. Damn, Juice is tripping. There's really nothing to talk about today because there's no reports, because nobody had access today to see what was really going on. The Texans did post a few little clips here and there of I think some 7-on-7 or 11-on-11 drills. We saw a little Woody Marks action. We saw Jalen Noel action. And I'm of the belief, and this is just AD's personal belief, it's really not much to talk about other than us seeing the players in these practice jerseys and in Texans helmets catching balls and paws and going up against, playing patty cake on the line. But other than that, it was good to see, most of the majority of the Texans, showing up for voluntary OTAs, which is a positive sign. He did have some that were out for injury or just out, period, or just, in the background. And then you had some that, I think there was only one, to my knowledge, that didn't show up at all. And that was CJ Gardner-Johnson, but he is working out. He ain't on a boat passing pink cocaine.
Nope. Hold up. That is that's pink pop rocks.
Ain't no cocaine popped in your mouth, huh?
Hey, you remember? Hold up, you remember that candy you put in your mouth and it popped?
I know pop rocks.
Okay. Hey, we hold up. We are going to say that is pink pop rocks. Okay.
I'm going to say pink cocaine. He ain't nobody on that boat associated with the Houston Texans. So
yeah,
There's some teams
Mm,
out
mm,
there
mm.
dealing with some unfortunate distractions, and thankfully, Houston is not one of them.
What up, Blackville?
Well, we didn't.
Exactly.
You know what? We didn't have that problem when he came last year. So I think it's just I just wanted to veer real quick how our locker room comes across as a little strong because we didn't have that issue last year. Y'all remember? We didn't.
I mean, it was one major player, that he didn't show up in Washington either. Um,
Mm.
Oh, I heard he was at the Bay concert.
mm, mm.
When you
um,
It
draft
was three
mostly
up.
team
It was
captains,
him. It was him. It was Terry, Scary Terry, and I forgot who the other guy was. But it's three of
some,
them that didn't show up. But somebody said I think he was at the Beyonce concert. I'm just
shout
saying.
out Al Dickey for popping in. Alfredo, he said that's New England's problem now. Blackville said it's Himalayan salt. Um,
Yeah, that you. Oh, damn. You know what? Let me
I
go to my
think he said,
kitchen. Let me go take a look. Let me go take a look. Cause that did look kind of similar.
yes, that is Jules. Jules is the grumpy one. Jules is the old man.
That is true.
So,
He
but, I
always
mean,
grumpy.
but I mean, I'm just saying. I've said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. I'm very interested to see what Washington Commanders do this season when it comes to their offense and offensive line, and if they take any semblance of a dip. Y'all already
Mm.
know who I'm attributing
mm,
it to.
Uh, Are you
Um,
attributing it to somebody who was on the O line on the left side?
they say
could
that's the
be.
strong side. Um,
Mm,
but again, back to the
mm.
Texans. The Texans had pretty great attendance. I think you had some people that were out for injury, like Damian Pierce was out for injury. Um, I think Henry Tortor was out for injury. Mind you, I'm not the father. Okay. Um, but I think Henry Tortor was out for injury as well as Christian Harris. But all of those players were in attendance. They just weren't in jerseys. Um, CJ Stroud, there was a big question about CJ Stroud. According to Aaron Wilson, Big Sarge, others, it's been confirmed nothing's wrong with CJ Stroud. They're just, letting him kind of give reps to Kevin Solvers and Davis Mills. So we'll see. His nickname is Big Sassy.
Wait, wait, wait. No, 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 no. Hold up. Kelvin who?
Kevin Solvers.
Oh, okay, damn. Cause I only person I knew was on the team was Mills and Mertz. See, Texas fans
Yeah,
out there. I don't pay attention to the third and fourth string guys. That's my bad.
Screw's gonna put everybody on hush. um, again, yeah, we signed him last year, if I'm not mistaken. He was our practice squad emergency quarterback.
Yes, he
Um,
was.
That's why I
last
said. Hey, I didn't keep up with number 69. I'm sorry.
So other than that, you know, I just want to hear y'all thoughts, any additional thoughts that y'all have on the training camp. Not training camp, Jesus, the
OTAs.
voluntary OTAs. Um, because I don't wanna take over. Go ahead. Mike Swan, Jules, somebody, anybody.
Go ahead, Jules.
Um,
Well,
First one.
I'm not impressed. I'm not really paying attention to. I'm just only thing that caught my eye was the original or the first line O line. We had Blake Fisher, Tyus Howard, Jack Andrews, Laker Thompson, and Cam Robinson
Damn.
as the reported first line that was out there. I mean, nothing makes me wonder about anything. I've seen a couple of things about players this and this. I think it's way too early to have any objective details or information or even opinions about what's going on now because it's just guys in shorts like the combine and pro days. Just get acclimated to the new system and just a little more time. And so I wait until training camp and more individual practices before I start giving my opinion about what we're doing.
Yeah. Um,
What you got, Swan?
for me, I am just excited to have all my guys back and to see them out there on the field. The little clips here and there, I appreciate it from some of our guys out there. Um, Looking at Nico, you know, uh, looking at number two, he went from number 20, 21 to 22, Mr. Ball Hawk or Bull Hawk, as I'm gonna call him. Um, and looking at the wide receivers, Higgins and so forth, it's just like, it was just nice to see him out there. It was just a mini camp, the mini camp for the rookies. So it looks nice. I will say this: it is a breath of fresh air for the first time. Shit, I don't know how many years. Um, all our online is at training camp. So I'm
Don't
looking for,
don't forget Eli, don't forget Eli Cox.
yeah.
People
No, but no, I'm saying no. What
Eli
I'm
Cox.
saying is all of the online is present. So that within itself feels good. All the other positions, if y'all there, great, whatever. CJ, CD as he wants to be called, him practicing, away from the team, I ain't got a problem with it because I know that's a dog, but it just feels good to know that we have a position that is in flux. Is that a better term to use?
Hmm.
Um, and everybody is there because it was in flux last year, but not everybody is there. I will say I made a comment to the guys in here regarding it. The fact I noticed a lot of guys look ripped. So a lot of guys worked out in the off season because I don't think you got that from April 21st, 22nd, whatever date they came in for the OTAs, the phase one till now. They look like that. So that meant these guys had to have worked in the off season. So whatever they said in their exit interviews and so forth, I feel like a lot of guys took to heart because if you look at some of them, Will, you look at, Locksmith and the rest of those guys, I mean, their body transformations. And I understand there's some guys on the old line that have worked on their bodies, but it's the fact that just off just the first look. I mean, nothing to brag about right now because they got to prove it. But I felt like, to me, at minimum, guys took off-season training seriously. So if anybody's noticed any of the postings from any of the media and so forth, it looked like some guys a little bit more ripped than they were the previous year, um, including
That's
Will Anderson.
DJ
So
Long.
I at least respect the fact that you put in some work in the off-season. Now I know we got to see it on the field, but at least phase one to me, you followed that. So I'm excited about that.
well. That's what happens when you trade away the so-called best player on your team
Uh,
to send a
no,
to send a message.
but I'm just saying all of the guys look like they worked on their bodies.
Mhm.
I'm just being honest, based on what I've seen, just them walking in and in the bubble, everybody worked on their bodies. Now we'll
Well,
see how
you
that
got.
truly works out,
I
throughout
mean,
Well,
I
I know
mean,
mini
the
camp
defense.
and going to training camp. But
you saw D'Amico's arms at the State of the Texans. D'Amico
okay,
looked.
we're not gonna talk about homeboy. We're not gonna talk about homeboy that talked about his arms because
Uh, but I
Well,
will say this.
there's some great leadership on the defense side.
He
So
said,
I mean, I
"What?
know there's some great leadership on the defense side, especially when it comes to Hunter and Will Anderson. I know they know boys probably work together because they we know Hunter always been a big dude. So
Mm-hmm.
him having another year with Hunter can probably rub off a little bit. And CJ or CD, whatever you call it, he's a good influence on everybody. And Sting is always going to be a good influence. He ain't going to say nothing, but he's going to just do what he do. And
Mm-hmm.
that's probably why Locksmith got a little understanding where he get that from too. So not surprising. Great
Um,
leadership.
I'm gonna say this, man. Regarding the team coming into OTAs in shape, I will say that um, I think that one, when you're talking about offensively, there's a lot of emphasis on competition across the board offensively. So you see a lot of these offensive linemen and you see a lot of these receivers and everybody, because really honestly, outside of quarterback, every position on offense is competition. It's competition in the wide receiver room, it's competition in the tight end room, it's competition in the running back room, it's competition, at on the offensive line. So all of the above, guys coming in with a purpose to compete and they want to make the roster. I mean, again, looking at the wide receiver room, Christian Kirk looks excellent out there. Looks like a true number 2. And then you go and you look at guys like Noel, who you look at Noel and you look at Higgins, who is bigger than most people kind of expected. Everybody knew he was a big guy, but then you see him stand next to Nico and you're like, damn, did Nico lose weight or what? And so, it's you see those type of things, and then you see the Luke Lachey's, and then how big he is, and you see, even running backs like Woody Marks. Woody Marks looks like a grown ass man out there, already, and I think it may be a sign of what's to come about Woody Marks taking that number 2 running back spot, and going with it, but that's another conversation for a later episode. But definitely, I think competition across the board, even defensively, in a defensive back room, they brought in a lot of defensive backs. Outside of Stingley and Petrie and Lassiter, they brought in a CD, Gardner Johnson,
Jalen.
all the Jalen's, the Jalen guys, Jalen Smith, and what is it? What is his name?
Jalen Reed.
Jalen Reed. So they brought in safeties, they brought in corners, they brought in what's the guy? Ron Darby. They brought in Darby.
Mm-hmm.
They brought back Tremont Smith. So you see a lot of the competition going out. Who's going to be the number 3 corner? Who's going to be, who's going to make the roster in the secondary, in the loaded secondary? So
Miles Bryant too, right?
Miles Bryant is back as well. So definitely, I think competition is really ringing true throughout the camp, throughout the OTA, should I say. And then I think everybody's seems more focused. You don't see a lot of the shenanigans. You don't see mama, we made it situations in the off season for any of the guys. I don't think there hasn't been many interviews from the players. It's mostly been interviews from Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans this offseason. And again, we're talking about all season because the Texans made the playoffs and made it past the first round. You're talking about literally what, 3.5 months maybe of off season for the Texans. And you see guys like Will Anderson come in, in shape, ready to go. And you see the leaders, even CJ Stroud looks ready to go. I think the mentality is changing slowly but surely. But I really like the mentality of the way the team is heading right now. But Mike, do you have anything to add to it?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get a ton during the voluntary portion of OTAs, but you got football back, and it's great to see. And we alluded to, no distractions, no anti-swarmers. We're just holding out, and I don't really want to. I don't feel like it. We don't have any sassy old linemen, as Blackfield said. And as you pointed out, man, competition is king. Competition on the O line, competition at receiver, competition at corner, competition on the D line, competition everywhere. And it's going to make everybody better. So I love the depth of this roster. And like Swan said, I mean, everybody's in shape. and you should be, but it's really noticeable. Um, I did find it interesting that Titus was moved to right guard, or at least right now. Um, I mean, how are we going to have him play tight end next? He's got to play all the all the positions on the O line. But one thing we never did touch on, I guess, because last week's episode ran a little long. But you mentioned at the fan event that there was a certain tight end whose name was not brought up when all the other ones were. Could have more competition at tight end. Maybe Dalton Schultz didn't get quite as many reps as usual if he doesn't improve his pass protection and run blocking.
Yeah, look, I think that everything is up in the air. I think we didn't see Brevin Jordan out there again. Still recovering from the ACL injury.
Yeah.
Like I think that it is going to be a lot of competition. I don't think anything is going to be given to anybody. Again, like I said, outside of three players, well, four. That is Stingley, that is Nico Collins, that is CJ Stroud, and that is Will Anderson. Those four, like those are kind of your untouchables. Everybody else is something happens, they can be gone, regardless of what is happening or said. I'm waiting to see what that linebacker room is gonna really look like because half your starting linebackers went out there. You only had Aziz as your only true starter that played. So
Well, I think there's a couple of guys that are trying to put good tape for a year because they're on the 1 year deals, or they're
mhm,
gonna might get bought out by the end of the year to be casual cuts like Howard, Cam, Christian Kirk, and those kind of guys. They're and even Lakin Thompson is looking on a 1 year deal. And then you have
mhm,
the two centers that you don't know where they're gonna be, Juice and Patterson. So everybody's trying to put on good tape because if they don't perform well, they're not getting another big deal or they might be cut. So I'm looking towards the greed of another contract next year. Ken Robinson, especially.
mhm,
Mike Thompson, he might get a good deal because he's a functional guard. Christian Kirk's probably want another deal if he can't get re-signed here. Even though I think we already drafted his replacement. So those are three or four guys, and Howard maybe try to get another deal. They gotta come in hard. No pause and put a good season together to even get paid for next year. So
yeah,
not only there's a good locker room, but also there's a lot of incentives for guys to get bigger contracts next year. And those are 4 or 5 guys I'm looking towards seeing how just the benefit of us and the Texans going further having great seasons because they want to get paid next year.
mhm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, like you said, you're talking about Lincoln Tomlinson. Again, a veteran, and you look at Jake Andrews. You talk about Juice and Patterson, but Jake Andrews was brought in to put a light under their ass, put a fire under their ass. So, um, it is very much so contract years for a lot of players. A lot of players on this roster. Um, and I missed that comment from Grapha. I don't know why it didn't pop up, but
Could that be one of the benefits of the Casario specials? Is that
I mean, it does. It does. It creates motivation. I think Stephon Diggs was motivated to perform at a high level, and he gave it his all. He did perform well, as the season progressed. But again, if he didn't get that injury, Stephon Diggs would have been 1,000-yard receiver.
And you see the contract he
And
signed with
yeah,
the Patriots. That just shows you go, hey, if you get your money, if you put up the stats and you put your effort in, and you're awarded by your next contract, it may not be from us, but you get your money from because we are a national recognized team. We do have expectations of being a playoff run. Every
mhm,
time we have 5 games on prime time
mhm.
last year. We're on the scene on the
5
cusp to
this
do
year.
something. Yeah, on the
Four,
cusp
yep,
do.
5-4, yeah, technically
Right.
5.
So
Yeah.
where you're going to be seen, you're going to be talked about. This team is going to be talked about if you play well, especially for a left tackle like Cam Robinson, who could probably got another a nice size contract come up there. You're going to put your you should
Mhm.
want to put your best ball on
Yeah,
tape for you.
and Cam Robinson's only 29 years old, so he's due
Exactly.
for one more good contract from a team if he plays well. And again, the Texans are doing right by drafting replacements for these guys. But again, you run into that conundrum of, do I keep a guy who is super productive? Cam Robinson comes and he performs well. You'll be put in a conundrum of, do I let him walk and
Yes.
just hope that Ariante and Blake Fisher, one of them can be mature enough to take over the role and give you the same production? Or are you willing to take the risk that it may be a dip, but it's just for the future? And it also puts in a conundrum too, because let's say, again, it goes for not just Cam, but Christian Kirk and all these guys where you drafted their so-say
Correct.
replacements. But let's say the Texans make it to the AFC Championship game and we lose like on a fluke final play to go to the Super Bowl. Do you and again, there's we talking scenarios and hypotheticals, but what if Cam Robinson and Christian Kirk were key components as far as stabilizing the offensive line, and Cam Robinson and Christian Kirk being your true number two option as a 1,000-yard receiver next to Nico Collins, and he's very productive? Do you just take the risk and take that away? Or do you try to say, we got one more year before the CJ and Will contract comes? Do we just run it back one more year? And so
I, I,
those are the type of
See,
I'm over
I,
here
situations.
so
going.
I'll play devil's advocate because I will use the best teams that have shown have gotten there over and over again, and as well as where also Nick Casario has come from. I think maybe one, let's just say one of those guys just really hit. I think only one may stay, but I think all those guys will not be here next year. And this is my opinion, and we can talk about that briefly. Here's the thing: is he comes from the school of they like compensatory picks. They also like moving on from guys a year or two before. So here's the thing: is you have positioned yourself where you have drafted uh, Tay as your future. He is your future left tackle. Except, I mean, based on the fact you traded for him, so and the way they have spoken about him, um, and that's that gleam in Casario's eyes. He has. But basically, this is how I picture it. If we get to the AFC Championship game and we lose, whether it's close or not, Cam will have to be a Pro Bowler minimum to come back next year. Because what we keep forgetting is we do have both Will and CJ who are up for contracts. We do not want to be like the Bengals or the 49ers that wait till you get to the fourth and fifth seasons and you're doing this because the price goes up. You've drafted for the future.
I think
But
Cam's gone no matter what.
right.
I
But I'm
mean,
saying is,
that
no, what I'm saying
possibly.
is, no, what I'm saying is, if he plays well, which I think he will play solid, minimum, I think he will be solid. I'm hoping to be better than that, but if he's playing solid, that works for me. My thing is, you still have Patterson and Scruggs. I know there are folks that want to make the assumption that because we are bringing in vets and blah, 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 that they are not high on them. Casario drafted them for certain reasons. Maybe because I'm not Popovich. What's that boy name? Oh gosh, I'm going blank. Help me out. The O-line coach. Uh
Strausser.
what's his name? Strausser, thank you. Because of Strausser and slow idiot, you mismanage the offense, you mismanage the development. So somebody's got to come in and clean it up. And if anybody is used to on your job where you didn't came in and somebody then screwed it up and they come in and they looking for you to fix it. It takes time as that veteran person to fix it and then watch the other guys learn from it. So keep in mind, Kaylee has never been an OC or play caller. So this is going to be on the job training for him as well. So I feel like the veterans will help him implement his offense quicker, and the guys can sit back and watch what it's supposed to be. And you can drop these guys in next year because we do not have the monies. If anybody's paying attention, I don't care if you go to Over the Cap or you go Spotrac. We do not have the monies to retain that old line if they perform very well.
Yeah.
So to me, I feel like Tay, whether it's the right side or the left side, will be one or the other. Blake Fisher be one side or the other side. Now, maybe a Laken Tomlinson may come back, and let's face it, he just ain't been that guy his whole career, so you probably can get him on a nice deal. But from a left tackle standpoint, if Cam Robinson is actually just solid, somebody's going to pay him next year. We can't afford him. So left tackles, that's a premium. So I don't think he's coming back.
I think the conversation more is more towards like losing a Christian Kirk over Cam Robinson. I think,
but I got Jalen. No, but I got Jalen. No, so
you have that. But again, if Christian Kirk goes out there, and I want this to lead into the question that Graffa has. If Christian Kirk goes out there and puts up 1,200 yards receiving, and Higgins, hold on, I'm just painting a scenario, and Higgins goes for like 700, 800, 900 yards. Yes, we would expect Higgins to pick up some of that slack, but are we truly expecting Jalen Noel to come up and give you 1,000 yards without proving
easily?
But him not proving it. And him not showing anything, but again,
I don't feel like Christian Kirk is special. I don't think he's special. I think he's a nice wide receiver too. However, the dude has not played a full season.
But I'm
minimum 2 years. But I'm saying I've replaced him.
But so I'm not talking about in a sense of like, I'm just giving a scenario like everything, like he played the whole season, and in a perfect world, no injuries, nobody, anything like that. But going to Graffa's question, he said, besides Nico Collins, of all our guys trying out for the wide receiver position, who stands out to you the most? And the rookies are going to stand out the most because nobody's ever seen them. So they're going to be the automatic guys that stand out to you the most because they're new. So
for me, no, I'll say for me, he's not standing out there. The two are not standing out just because they are quote unquote new. For me, it is based on their skill set. It is based on what they have produced in college. So for me, I can get the same production from Noel that I get from Christian Kirk. So my thing is just more or less.
I always agree with you up to that point. I always agree with you up to your point. You can't say what they're gonna do in college and transfer that. You can't put that together. It's a good notion. It's a good projecting to do so, but you can't do it with someone who actually have production in the NFL to somebody who has even actually had a real game or training camp.
But we've seen one. I'm just saying
it's hard for me. It's hard for me to agree with that. I can't agree with that. But for my conversation in this situation, regardless of Christian Kirk, those 1,200 yards, regardless of Cam Robinson's a Pro Bowler, both are gone.
Right. No, here's the thing is that right now we traded for. I'm looking at monies, so I'm looking from a realistic standpoint.
I agree with you.
You can play with the cap how you want, unless Cal is going to come off of some major signing bonus, and we're actually giving him a bunch of money up front and we can finagle it. I am being realistic on the sense of we cannot play all these guys. And based on how you drafted, you knew you had Christian Kirk. So if he performs well, that's great.
That's great. That's
If
great for
he
the season.
right. But his thing is, let's just say all of them, and I guess I looked at it. Let's say Cam performs well. Let's say Kirk performs well. Those guys are going to be in high demand. We are not in a position to do a bidding war. So for me, those type of guys are going to be gone. But we've drafted guys that have sat under them that should move into those roles. So that's why I say that. Not because I don't think that they deserve the money. I am saying is we cannot pay them that kind of money.
I agree.
And I feel like that's where the draft to me this year, Casario did better this year than he did last year in the sense of, are you prepared that if you cannot resign, you got that person in waiting?
What he did last year with Blake Fisher and
Right, I'm talking O-line. No, I'm
corner.
saying in the sense of O-line and wide
Well,
receiver.
he did, but he did. That's what Jules is saying. He did that with Blake Fisher. Like
He
they
did last year.
were preparing to move on from Laramie Tunsil, which we said when we drafted Blake Fisher, that was an automatic sign that it is
one of them. Him and Titus. One of them two was gonna be gone. Yes, I agree.
It was always going to be Laramie Tunsil, and I'm gonna say that. And the reason why I'm gonna say it, like I said before, it was always going to be Laramie because one, Laramie gets you the most in return.
Value.
I get you.
Laramie had, and that just for that alone was the reason that it was always going to be Laramie Tunsil. Because at the end of the day, look at what we're seeing now, what we saw the last year and the last few years with Titus Howard. Titus Howard is flexible enough to play guard. And that right there made it 100,000% clear that it was all just like on draft day and on that piece of paper. It was always you, Vontae Mack. It was always you, Laramie Tunsil, that were going to be the one to get dealt, and that's why they drafted a left tackle. Because Blake Fisher's playing right tackle right now, but he played left tackle at Notre Dame, and he was pretty damn good. And the only reason why he moved to right was because they had Joe Alt at playing left tackle. But he was brought into Notre Dame as a left tackle, and he played left tackle his last year in Notre Dame. So
I think Laramie going next year. I'll be honest with you. I looked at the numbers. I looked at that post June 1.
Titus Howard, you mean?
I'm Titus Howard.
But I'm saying that's a whole different thing. I'm sorry, Titus Howard. I think he's gone next year. Like I said,
it all depends. Well, the thing about it is that you have to trust that you drafted well. And like you can say the Texans have drafted pretty outside of Nico Collins. It is yet to be seen that the Texans have drafted well at wide receiver. Outside,
I disagree.
We're gonna get into that.
Hold up.
Hold up. What era are we talking about? In their history?
I'm talking about Nick Casario era.
Okay. No, back up.
Nick Casario era.
Excuse me. No, back up. So Tank was a damn good draft pick. That's not a problem. You can't predict injuries. So talent
you can't predict knee killer.
For his size, that was his biggest concern. His
size. I don't care about the size.
No. Hold on, Swan. That was one of his biggest knocks. You can't just because you don't like to hear it. That was one of his biggest knocks.
I have a counter for that. So tell me,
but that was his biggest knock come out of college.
No, okay. Please tell me where. So let me make sure I understand this. So if you have, was he 170? Maybe 65 pounds. I mean, I'll let one of y'all correct me.
Yes,
so if you have 170, I'm gonna give you 170 just to be nice. You have 170-pound wide receiver because I watched that live in the stadium. blocking 300-pound
Hey, y'all defended Bobby
lineman.
last year.
No,
Last,
no,
and I
no,
said the
no,
same
no.
thing.
We're not. No,
We're
no,
not, because
we're
y'all
not.
defended this nigga all last year
No,
when I
no,
said
no,
he
no,
was a
no.
bad
Okay, never
coach
mind.
last year.
Okay, go for it. Never mind. Okay, we'll move on.
So, but again, to my
No.
point, because again, I go in the Nick Casario era, and there have been more misses than hits in the wide
How?
receiver room.
Please tell me. Okay, excuse me.
And
So,
you're
We have
Swan,
wait
if
a minute. Hold
you're
on. So,
we have a
are we
Swan,
whole day
counting
set for
Tank
this
as a
conversation.
miss? I got a problem with that.
Swan,
That's
Tank is
not
a
a
hit,
miss.
third rounder.
Production wise, that is not a
who?
miss.
Tank is a hit as a third rounder.
But
I
I'm
would say I
listen.
don't
But
get
hold
that
on,
shit.
listen to what I said.
Sure,
Listen,
if there are more
like
misses.
there are more misses than hits in the wide receiver room. I will give you Tank and Nico.
That's
Right.
what
Now
it
look at the
matters.
I mean, Mitch had
Messi man
cancer.
had cancer.
You can't predict that
Yeah,
shit.
you really
Let
can't.
me do that.
And that's
again,
Let me do that.
again.
Please not do that.
but
We
Let
have
me
who
a
do
whole
that.
else?
we have a whole podcast
We have
just
we
for
have
that right
we have
now.
time. Yeah, we have time to talk about it.
No,
But
but
my
I'm saying,
whole,
I mean, I'm
but
sorry,
my
but let's
whole,
not
but
put
my
that out
whole,
there.
but
No, but that's some bullshit. I'm sorry. No, that's some
it's
bullshit.
not.
He got more hits than misses. I'm sorry. It was a hit with Tank. It's a hit with
That's the point I
Nico.
was getting to, T Real. I was getting to the point of not just the wide receiver, because I was going to name other positions other than wide receiver. I was going to go offensive line. I
Only
was
thing
going
this
to
question
go.
was offensive
I was
line.
going to.
That's
I was
it.
going to go tight end. I was going to go like
Really?
you, Swan. You can go down the list of Nick Casario, like, and this is the thing. Just doesn't go for just Nick Casario and the Houston Texans. This goes across all 32 NFL teams
I don't
because
even
the
care about
draft
32 here. I'm talking about right now.
Swan,
Us.
but
Us.
Got a larger point here.
The point is that the draft is a crapshoot. You're lucky on some things, and you're unlucky on a lot more things, because what they saying when you gambling, the house always wins. So at the end of the day, Nick Casario has done a great job drafting CJ Stroud, has done a great job finding steals in Nico Collins and Tank Dell in the third round, has done a great job in drafting Will Anderson, has done a great job in drafting Derek Stingley.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I will say this,
That's it.
Swan, I'm not about to name the whole roster. Like
No,
at the
no.
end
If
of
you're
the
gonna
day,
no, but you're making it seem like no. Here's the reason why. You're naming top draft picks,
yes,
but you're
which is,
not getting into the second, third, fourth, fifth
but I
round,
just,
whatever.
I just said he had steals and Nico Collins and Tank Dell in the third round. I
Yeah,
just said that.
Petrie.
So
And
you
then you
named
had
hold up. You
Petrie
named four career.
Petrie was a high
Yeah,
draft pick
second
in
rounder.
the
He was a
round.
second
So,
rounder.
but that's any to let me say this. I don't consider, and I was being generous by saying Nico and Tank being steals. If you're drafted past the third round, those are considered steals. Anything third round and above, the expectation is for you to be a perennial player on the team, like a
No,
player, not
no,
necessarily a
not third
starter.
round. Not third round. You're not considered perennial.
When I say perennial, Swan, I'm not necessarily saying that they're going to be a like starter, all pro. I'm not saying none of that. When I say perennial, I'm talking about you're going to be a consistent, relied upon player on that team. That is the expectation from a third rounder. You expect your third rounders to play. Correct? Am I
Play,
correct or
but
am
not
I
to be
incorrect?
stars.
But am
But
but am
stars.
I correct or am I incorrect about you expecting your third rounders to play?
I don't expect a perennial. Not at third round.
I'm gonna
T-Real
say
say
this.
third
I'm
round.
gonna say this right quick. And when you don't use all your draft picks and you keep trading up, when you do miss because you don't have enough draft picks to make the class, it does magnify a little bit too. When you make a lot of trades and you're going from 11 to 7 because you traded up, you have to hit more than you miss.
Mm-hmm.
And he's known to be a trader. He trades every game and every season, and those trades got to work because you're trading away other players that if you missed on this player, well,
Mm-hmm.
I got a 6th round pick I can maybe contribute, but you already gave it away. You gave a third round pick for a trade up or a 2nd round pick for digs like this. You're giving up
Mm-hmm.
more leeway and more shots at the crapshoot because the more shots you have at the crapshoot, the more success rate you will have.
Mm-hmm.
So he's limiting himself by trading as much as he does.
There's two trades in back-to-back years. He gets a lot of praise for the Will Anderson trade, and he gets just as much flack for the Kenyon Green trade.
That
And
was
it's and it's the same, just as like, because this is the thing. If Kenyon Green was a success in Houston, that trade is yelled out as a genius trade, excellent
yes.
trade. One of the, and the same and a flip can be said about the Will Anderson trade. If Will Anderson was a bust and Will Anderson was one of those, was what's that guy that was drafted high that didn't do shit, it was Kayvon Thibodeau or whatever, was KT, and he and just flamed out by now. And now, are you saying that was a hit? You everybody screaming that was a
Yeah, but
stupid ass
okay,
trade
but
and
right, but
everything
difference is
like that.
Kayvon has produced more than the guy
I'm
what
just
he passed on.
it don't. The point is one.
I think it's where
One,
we
regardless,
I think it's
regardless,
who we get.
regardless, regardless of my point was not specifically trying to talk about KT. I was just trying to find a player. It could be any bus. It could be goddamn Solomon Williams or whatever that guy was. Or Solomon, the guy that was drafted from San
Solomon Thomas.
Francisco. Solomon Thomas. If Will Anderson was Solomon Thomas, we are
That's
screaming.
different.
Swan,
Yes.
you want me, but
If
Swan, you're
if
missing. Swan,
You're
are
missing
you
the main point, and the
the
main point is
thank you.
hashtag anybody but KT.
Yeah, but the point is that some like draft picks or hits by their success. If they don't have the success, then it's considered a bad pick or a bad trade, and that's anything. That's with anybody, and that's
Yes,
regardless.
it's also
And
it's
he said,
also
"Here
the
is the next list right
evaluation.
now."
Is it not also the evaluation of what quote unquote everybody's perspective of where a player is valued at or what their quote unquote grade is?
So DJ said he did a good job drafting Henry, Locksmith, and Bullock. Locksmith and Bullock were second and third round picks.
It's
Henry
still
was
good.
Henry
It's
is
still
the
good trades.
but
I'm sorry, still good picks.
I think we get into the weeds of the conversation. But at the end of the day, we got a lot more to talk about it. Because I think that is going to be the next episode when we're talking about the organization as a whole. And I think the draft is part of the conversation. Again, but when it comes to the OTAs right now, I think the Houston Texans have a lot of participation, and they have a lot of it has a lot of interest going on to see what's next. That's the conversation that's going to happen next because of the unknown. Again, we want to see success, like Juice was saying earlier. We want to see the rookies succeed. We want to see the rookies play well, but we have to see it. And that's at the end of the day, we have to see it. We can project all we want to, just like I was projecting about Christian
So did you
Kirk
think so let me
and
ask you a question. Just one
projecting
question.
about Cam Robinson.
Let me
I
ask this
don't
question.
know, huh?
Can I ask this one question? Did you see CJ better than Davis Mills? Yes or no? I just need a flat yes or no answer.
What do you mean by did I
When we
see him?
drafted him, did you feel CJ Stroud was better than Davis Mills? Did you feel hopeful when we drafted CJ?
Yes, but I had to see it.
No. I just need I need a yes or no answer.
Yes, I was hopeful,
Okay,
but I just
Jules.
said, but I
Jules.
just Swan. I
Feel
just
different?
laid it out.
Did you feel different when we drafted CJ? Did you feel different?
Yeah,
Did you feel hopeful?
I did.
Okay. Mike G, did you feel hopeful?
I mean, yeah, I'm hopeful with every
Okay,
draft
but
pick.
you no, let me stop.
Oh, I
You
am.
didn't see a lick of that young man play in the NFL, but you felt hopeful based on his potential.
But that's what I
Yeah.
just said, Swan. I literally just
No,
said.
So
hold
what
on,
is
hold on.
I
wrong?
literally just said that.
So
No, it's
what is your
going
point?
back.
So what's your point? So I'm trying
No,
to get the point. What's your point?
it's going back to why is it not okay to feel that certain rookies you can feel hopeful that they're going to overtake a position that somebody, a veteran, whatever case you want to call them, is going to take. Whether that's
Okay,
wide receiver,
all right, stop right
whether
there.
that is the lineman.
Hold on. You bring up C.J. Stroud and Davis Mills.
No,
No.
that's a
You did
point.
no. You bring up. Let me finish. You brought up
Okay.
C.J. Stroud and Davis Mills. We knew how bad Davis Mills was as a pro. We knew he's bad as a pro. Christian Kirk is actually a good damn receiver and an unknown rookie. Those are apples and oranges.
No, but you're still banking
But
on the
but
unknown
but you're baking on replacing a guy
potential.
that's done it. But
But you're
Christian Kirk
banking on
ain't done it
potential.
because we
Is
had
it
nothing
still not
else.
potential?
No,
Is it still
because we
not
had nothing
potential?
else. Because you knew Mills wasn't gonna do the job. We
No, no.
know Chris Kirk can
Were
do the
you
job,
still banking on
but we
potential?
know. But you're trying to
So
make a
you weren't
point,
banking
and
on
the
potential.
point don't match.
Well, I'm gonna,
Those apples and
Okay.
oranges.
I'm gonna do.
So
Hold on,
you knew
hold on.
automatically. No,
I'm
you
gonna
knew
say this.
automatically that he was gonna be that guy.
I knew he'd be better than Davis Mills because Davis Mills proved he could not do it on a football field at the pro level. Christian Kirk has proven on the football level he can be the man you need to be as number two receiver. That's the point.
So I'm gonna
But
say
he can't.
this.
But he doesn't. But he hasn't been on the
But
field for a whole season for 2 years.
But Swan, you're manipulating. So this is the thing, because we're running back the same arguments over and over again. And right now, I don't want you to I don't want anybody to manipulate the argument, because the argument that you brought up, I literally had just said that point right before you made the question, or you asked the question. I literally said, we, regardless of if we're hopeful for our rookies to be successful, and regardless of whoever. And I said I was hopeful. I'm hopeful for Christian Kirk and Cam Robinson. And again, we don't know if the rookies, Christian Kirk, Cam Robinson, any of that right now with the Houston Texans currently constructed until we see it. And that just wasn't because of the rookies. That was me being hopeful for the veterans that we brought in, anybody that we, even CJ Gardner Johnson. We don't know until we see it. So again, we can be hopeful of everybody that's on this roster right now. All 90 players that are on this Houston Texans roster, we are hoping that they all gonna be successful and be great. Because if you have 90 players on the roster that are all doing well, you for damn sure gonna have 53 that are all doing well and very successful. That is the hope. But again, my premise of me putting out hypotheticals and me putting out situations is just to have people think. But at the end of the day, we have to see it play out on the field. Because as hopeful as we are about anybody, it could come and crash and burn regardless. Only, regardless of what happens. I'm talking about anybody that was brought in the offseason, and not just rookies, veterans, anybody that we brought in to compete for a spot on this roster. We don't know until we see it on the field. And that's my point. It's not just rookies, it's not just veterans, it's everybody lumped into one. And that was my point that I was making. And then we go back to a recycled argument that, at the end of the day, we don't need to have, because at the end of the day, we aren't at that point yet. We aren't at camp battles yet. We are in the day 2 of OTAs. And
Stretching awards. Who
and
can stretch the best?
yes, and so I'm gonna say this. A lot of people have been making more and final judgments on the Houston Texans after 1 day of visual OTAs. And it is very irritating to my soul. This is an AD talking box point, soapbox point. I just urge fans to just be a little patient and not go to the deep end of overreaction. And we get, because I know we get to the point of hashtag everybody want to be right or gotta be right, and we get to the point of people making definite decisions, and I'm gonna stand on this, such and such is starting, whoopty whoopty whoop. If they name ain't Will Anderson, CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, Derek Stingley, ain't nobody guaranteed to start. And
Danielle Hunter.
again, I will say it.
Cam Robinson.
I will say this: nobody's guaranteed to start outside of those 4 names that I just said. So again, if we're making definite statements, and then just so you can say I was ahead of the curve and I gotta be right, let's just have a little patience and at least wait to training camp when we have actual training camp battles going on. Right now, everybody, like Juice said, is in shorts and t-shirts, and they just running around playing 7-on-7 football. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I mean, we hadn't talked about the O-line in several seconds. No, but we're gonna have several things to talk about before training camp. You can catch it all right here on the H-Town Rundown.
Mhm.
Any closing thoughts?
So
Juno
Mike,
Smith.
so Mike, what do you want to see before training camp? What do you want to? What do your expectations of the Texans are on going forward to training camp when the battles start going?
I mean, more competition. I'm expecting, we're going to start to see some signs with the O-line of like who's going to be where, not tomorrow, but in the coming weeks, and get some more clarity there. And that continuity. Like, obviously, you want more competition. You want them battling. You want Ed Ingram and Scruggs and Patterson and Eli Cox, everybody competing. But you want to kind of get a formed unit here pretty soon so that you can start to get that continuity. But yeah, I mean, at tight end too, like AD said, nobody's really got their job solidified outside of those 4 guys. So
Man, Schultz a start. I don't care. Nobody's saying.
This is funny. Brandon says speculating and arguing is more fun than patience.
that's true.
That is true.
Then here you go. He say Fairbairn. I'm not even guaranteeing Fairbairn a spot
We
right
ain't
now.
drafted anybody to replace him, and nobody's in camp, so we stuck with Hawaiian Punch.
Well, I mean, they do have roster cuts, right, Swan?
No, but nobody's been.
Hold on. There is one player that is a free agent.
Oh, I know.
That's considered one of the best kickers.
No. We do not hire guys who violate women.
Hook 'em home.
No, we do not. No, we do not violate. No, we do not bring players who violate women on our team. No, we're not doing that.
D'Amico did say that. He does not look at people who got character flaws.
He said that point blank. If there is any of that, nope.
If these cases,
he's not a Casario, so anybody that
if these cases get thrown out,
that is a Miko thing. He does not sign guys, draft guys that got character flaws. That is number one with him.
So what if the cases are thrown out and it was all just like a
that was no case. No. That man been doing this since 2016. Unfortunately, yes, I am Hookem.
Okay.
That's what they doing.
He has been doing that.
That's what they doing.
No, he's been doing it for a very long time.
It sounds like he been doing it so long. He was doing it in Austin.
Hey.
Anyway, we got some good shows.
No. Hold up. His thing is no. Hold up. No. See, I can be honest.
He's got no flaws.
Hookem is not. Hold up. Hookem is not perfect. Okay. We got some fucked up folks. That's part of the lineage here and there. He's just one of. He just one of them. unfortunately, and I accept that's what it was. It is what it is. What it is. But
Ooh, mixed.
basically,
Mm-hmm.
huh? No, 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 no. I don't play with the domestic violence and assault with women and the massage thing. That's just me. Nope, 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 nope. I don't do this shit. Nope. Fuck you. Oh, sorry. Probably should have said that.
Somebody,
But Dwight,
somebody, somebody had some domestic issues, and it was on video.
no, no, no. Hold up. So, for anybody who said Mixon has a flaw, so for whoever that said that, I'm not quite sure. I'm not looking at the screen right now because y'all see your finger pointing down. Can you tell me what did he do since college when the young lady?
Okay.
Oh, damn! I was about to say the wrong thing. When the Caucasian female spit on him, because I'm grow. His thing is, I'm gonna say to everybody, I grew up in a generation that if you spit at me, you get what you get. Okay?
So
His thing is, what have you seen from Mixon since that incident where he's had another incident with a female? Because I did have concerns. Because I was kind of concerned the fact that y'all would ignore it, that it happened. But I was like, okay, that happened over 10 years ago, 9 years, whatever the case may be. But let's be honest, the young lady did spit at him. And I don't know about you all. I'm just going to, I mean, I know I have a little, whatever you want to call it, image. But I am African American. I'm a black female. If you spit at me, I'm going to fuck you up. All right? We going.
Oh, let's come. Let's get
No,
back.
no, no, no. If you spit
AD,
at me,
I thank you for this unnecessary segue that what we're talking about right now.
so I'm
Let's
just
get back
saying,
to talking
if you
Texas talk,
spit
man.
at me and you
hey,
white, it's gonna be an issue. You black, it's still gonna be an issue. But white adds another extra to it. So whoever brought it up, you blame
so
them because you
shout out
posted it.
to
Nah, no, you put it up there, so you
shout
set
out
it up. You could have ignored it
shout
because
out.
I did. You posted it up there, so we're gonna address it.
But shout out to
So
our white co-host Mike G.
I no, he black because he show up late for every damn thing. So we
So
so
Larry
my
said, "What are
thing
you
is,
talking about?" AD Lassiter, Gardner, Aziz, Kirk, Hunter are guaranteed
can
to
we go?
start.
Yes,
Um,
one. We're going to pivot from that conversation right now
yes.
because it's
Oh,
not a,
so you put it up there, but then now you want to
I
pivot.
didn't put it out
Okay.
there, and I'm trying to get everybody on the same thing that we're
Okay,
talking
who
about
put it up
OT.
there? Who put it up there?
I'm talking to him too. I tell him thank you for pivoting off the conversation because that was a necessary
No,
conversation
no, no.
that we're
I'm
going
saying
through.
who put it up
We
there
lost 10 minutes on about Texan talk about OTAs in the future on
because
something
somebody put
that
it up
makes no
there, right?
because it makes no sense at this point to talk about either one of the players.
Well, I was reading the comments of fans,
Uh,
not fans, but people in the comments. Brandon brought up Fairbairn was guaranteed to start, and
And
then
that was it.
I
no,
brought up
no, you
And you
that.
put
was
up
wrong.
something
And you was
else.
wrong for
Hold
You put
on.
up
bringing up that
something else. You put up
No,
topic.
something else.
my argument was that Fairbairn is not guaranteed a spot.
No, that wasn't it.
And then Swan said, we stuck with him because we didn't bring anybody in or we didn't sign
We ain't
anybody in
talking about
all
that.
season.
You brought something else
And
up.
then I said, and another fan, not a
Huh?
fan, sorry,
You
another
fans, you
person, another person in the comments, Houston sports fans, brought up another name.
Right.
And then
That's on you.
that
Right.
but
That's
Right.
on
it's
you.
it's a valid
No. Okay,
It's
but
not.
then you
It
open the
it
door.
wasn't a really valid
Yeah, you open the
presentation.
door for the
That wasn't.
messiness, and
It
now
really
you want to
wasn't.
cut it off.
it's valid. It's
It's not
valid.
valid. It's
Okay,
not
then it's
valid.
valid what I said. Because
And
Thank y'all for
I'd
joining us
rather
today.
address the
uh,
other questions.
again, it's been a great episode. There's a lot more to come, a lot more things to talk about, things that we touched on regarding the roster construction, regarding, Nick Casario as a GM. We do need to address, the direction of the coaching staff as well. Bringing in, Nick Caley, making some changes, on your coaching staff with the offensive line coach with Cole Popovich, getting rid of Chris Strausser.
Oh,
June
that's right.
first.
June first
June
cuts.
first.
That's right.
We got just one. That's the
Zach
one
Mason.
that all matters to everybody, and that Shaq Mason will be done on Sunday morning. Them papers. He ready to sign the
Monday
papers.
morning. Actually, Monday.
Mm.
See.
June.
Are we gonna hold a service for him like
No,
we did?
technically, we don't get our money until Monday.
Monday. Yeah, I mean banks don't open till Monday anyway. So,
Hold up. I can't count till I see it. I see it
no.
on Monday. You have a direct deposit that's coming until that month. Actually, deposits. I can't spend it.
Larry, if 48 is fully healthy, I disagree. But again, anybody and everybody is up for discussion. I will say my four is my core four for the Houston Texans, and those four will start regardless of any situation. But again, it's been a great episode. Shout out to Jules, Mike G, Auntie Swan. Shout out to the New York Knicks for forcing the game 6.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Did y'all doubt it?
I kind of did.
I did.
I was
There
on the
was
fence
no way.
after what
No. There
Minnesota
was
did.
no way. There was no way that what's his name? Adam Silver. No way that New York was not gonna win and get to a game 5 based on what happened yesterday. You need NBA. His thing is, just real quick, that is not truly what they wanted as far as an NFL Finals, a Pacers,
NBA.
and OKC. So you needed to stretch that out. Oh, don't get wrong, Pacers gonna win it, but you still needed to stretch it out. That's a money thing. So there was no way the Knicks was not. Knicks was no way going to lose all 3 games at home. All 3.
NBA wanted the Lakers to win. They wanted the Warriors to win.
Yeah, have a good night. I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, you heard it.
I'll be with y'all all night.
They definitely want them damn ragged ass Rockets to win.
It's been another great episode of the H-Town Rundown.
Oh no, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna talk about the ragged ass Rockets. You know they didn't want them to win.
We will see y'all on the next episode.
Showtime.
As we start our series talking about the organization of the Houston Texans. So y'all be sure to join in for the next few weeks. We'll be talking the other OTA days as well. And so again, we will see y'all when we see y'all, man. Peace.